Here at Tune Plus, we're slashing prices on the Precision Turbonetics NX2, a bolt-on turbocharger for your 2016 Plus Ford Focus RS. Each kit includes one BBP, Big Black Pipe, one Earthworm Gym, and an install kit that includes studs and nuts, gaskets and O-rings, and some things. Coupler and clamps. And of course, one fully assembled spoolie boy. And enough of these little bastards to make you second guess your purchase. Each turbo features a patented rhino cock inlet, an integrated flange that accepts all factory and aftermarket choo-choo valves. Yummy! A pre-installed flappy door mover thing. Last but not least, this dirty little dumper that accepts all DPs. So, Adam, why don't you let them know how good of a deal this really is?
Well, it's so cheap, you can name it Phil and pretend you actually have a friend. Oh, you like that, don't you? So cheap you can throw it away and immediately pull it back out because it was $1,600, you idiot. And so cheap, you can take pictures of it for the gram, along with the rest of the parts you're going to sell in a couple months anyway. At least you'll make money on the turbo. We're not giving $100 off, or $3, or $15,000, or even $532, but $1,093.75 off.
Purchase your Precision Turbonetics NX2 turbocharger today for $1,636.25. That's a pretty specific price. How'd you come up with it?
No idea. This is what we came up with. You're not my mom.
To buy, visit angelfire.com/Uncle Touchy's Puzzle Basement /Terpsky /HTML.
Not really. It's tuneplusinc.com. Link will be in the description below. So the turbo is on sale. Just want to make a funny video, you know, I was kind of bored in the shop and knew that we were going to be putting this up on sale. So I'm going to answer a few quick questions on this turbo real quick, just because I know I'm going to get them. I answer them all the time. So first off, yes, you can bolt it on your stock engine car. It's not going to blow up. This turbo is designed to actually bolt to a factory Focus RS and just run. You don't even have to tune for it, although I highly recommend tuning for it. So the factory ECU strategy, the way it works, and the same way our tunes work, is it's all torque based. So there's going to be a pressure limit that it can go up to in order to hit the torque target. So if you just throw this on your stock car, you're going to see a horsepower gain in the top end. You're not going to see any torque gains or anything like that because it's going to be capped. Basically what this does, this fills the torque that can't be hit on the factory turbo, on the factory tune. So with our tune, you're going to be able to make a ton more torque, a ton more power, you know, and get the most out of it and have a nice flat boost curve all the way to the red line where the stock turbo dies off. So again, you can put this on your stock car. It's not going to hurt it at all. You're going to see big gains from it. So anything, or the second question, anything that's on your car now is going to bolt to this turbo. So if you have a factory downpipe, if you have an aftermarket downpipe, it's going to bolt directly to it. So the install kit comes with new stud and nuts for it. You just kind of put these in here, finger tight, and then torque down the nut on the backside. You don't have to crank the stud in there. Up here, where it bolts to the head, that's all bolt on. Comes with new gasket and new O-rings for the oil feed line and coolant lines as well. And then for the intake, you probably remember the BBP, the old big black pipe. So what this is for is to connect to your factory intake. So you'll put on here, because the turbo is a little bit bigger, they have recasted turbine and compressor housings. It's just a little bit off from where the factory inlet would be. So that centers it back up. The only other intakes that the BBP is confirmed to fit is ETS. Other people with Mishimoto and Engine and CPE, they've just chopped them in the middle. You just kind of put this on, measure, you know, up against your aftermarket intake, and then chop it and put a 3-inch coupler on here. If you have a 3-inch intake, if you have a bigger than 3-inch or smaller, you can reduce down with the coupler. So the other thing is, coupler and clamps, that goes for the inlet here. And then you have Earthworm Jim here. This is to connect to your factory charge pipes or any charge pipes that mimic the factory. So Montoon's charge pipes are basically factory, just made out of metal with updated clamps and stuff. So if you don't want to upgrade your charge pipes, it's perfectly fine. Throw your stockers on, just upgrade the clamps. I'm going to add a clamp kit to our website that are, that we use for the Ecoboost Mustangs. It's just a constant tension or Murray's turbo clamp. It's gonna be a full kit. Just take off your stock clamps, put these on, and run it. If you already have ETS charge pipes, they will fit. If you go to the link in the description where you can purchase the kit or purchase the turbo, there's also a couple of links to a offset coupler and clamps that'll hook up your ETS charge pipe to this turbo. Besides that, all the boost control stuff hooks up the same as stock. So you have a boost source down the bottom here, you have your wastegate, and then you have your dump out of the factory boost control solenoid. If you just look at your stock turbo, how it was set up, it's going to hook up the same. Oil feed line, coolant lines, it's all direct bolt on. Remove them off your stock turbo, put them on here. If you have a built 2-liter block, or 2-liter, I should say, specifically the Focus ST, because we do use 2-liter fusion blocks now in our builds. But for our blocks, you don't have to do it. But for Focus ST blocks, you will have to remove this bolt. You're not going to lose any boost pressure out of here. It's all sealed, and you're not going to hurt anything at all. We've ran them with this bolt removed before, and it's needed because it'll hit the block. Your other option is to basically remove this bolt and weld it if you want, but then you're never gonna be able to pull it apart, and I don't recommend doing that at all. Just do what I said and listen, because I know it works. So the turbo is 550 horsepower capable to the wheels. I've done that on most of our builds and a stock block car as well. Lucas's car went 11.3 at 126 miles an hour on the stock block with this turbo. I'm not going to say just go out and do that, and if you think that you can just go and do that, rethink it, because you are running the risk of grenading your engine if you push it that high. So what I recommend for the stock block is about 420, 430 horsepower on E30 at minimum. If you're running methanol injection, perfect. If you're running full 85, great. Race gas additive or VP MS109, we tune for all of these things. That's what you're going to want to run to get the most out of the stock block. That's where we're going to tune it to safely. It's going to be reliable at that point. Anything beyond that, I'll gladly set you there and get you above that point, but you're basically on your own borrowed time there. There's no guarantees it's going to last. There's no guarantees that it'll die either. So like I said, Lucas's car went 6 months without problems, and he did like 80 passes at the track. So beyond 420 horsepower, you're on your own. If you have our wastegate actuator on your stock turbo, it will not fit on the NX2, so we have a specific actuator for the NX2. This actuator, like I mentioned earlier, is designed to work with the factory tune. It has to be within the limits of basically the factory wastegate duty cycle commands. So you can run this to reach the limit of 420, 430 horsepower. However, once you hit that peak, it's going to kind of die off because the boost pressure drops down. So if you get our actuator on here, it's going to carry that same power up to about 420, 430, about 5,000, 5,500 RPM, and then it'll hold it right to red line. Boost pressure, that is. So power's still going to taper off just because you have some restriction in your exhaust side because the head doesn't flow that much, or that well, I should say. So if you want our wastegate actuator for this turbo, you're going to have to add it separately. I'll link in the description below as well. Higher elevation, guys. Basically, you need this turbo because your factory turbo sucks. It's not going to hold boost pressure to red line at all. You're going to just die off into nothing. So buy this turbo. That way you can make decent power at elevation or move because elevation sucks. So my Colorado guys love this turbo. I got about 6 or 7 guys out there with this turbo. Significant difference over stock because this has the capability to overcome, you know, the higher elevation, the lower barometric pressure. So that's going to do it for this turbo. Quick recap, directly bolts on, makes more power than stock, isn't a pain in the ass to install as long as you know what you're doing, and that's it. Goodbye.